Okay, eventually I go. Big Windows update has upset everything. Right, reading from The Guardian, an actual article. Polanski's autobiography, Roman Polanski. Polanski's autobiography was written 7 years after his arrest, and his account of the crime does not smack of a man overly burdened with feelings of guilt. He describes grooming Gailey, this is the young girl he went to court and was found guilty of abusing. He describes grooming Gailey on the drive to the photo shoot. Asked when she'd first started having sex. I asked when she'd first started having sex, he writes, as if that's a normal thing for a 43-year-old man to ask a 13-year-old girl. At Jack Nicholson's house, she tells him she's thirsty, so he gives her alcohol. We weren't saying much now, Polanski writes, but I could sense a certain erotic tension between us. In his head, Gailey, the young girl, sensed something different. According to her grand jury testimony, she repeatedly asked him to take her home, and she was very afraid of him. When he started kissing her, she told him, "No, keep away." When he performed oral sex on her, she was ready to cry and asked him to stop. Polanski recounts what he described as making love so sexily you can practically hear his heavy breathing. There was no doubt about her experience and lack of inhibition, said Polanski. She spread herself and I entered her. She was not unresponsive, said Polanski. This is how Gailey recalled the crime. He placed his penis in my vagina. I was mostly just on and off saying, "No, stop." But I wasn't fighting really because there was no one else there and I had no place to go. He didn't answer me when I said no. Then he lifted up my legs farther and he went in through my anus. Afterwards, in Polanski's car, Gailey cried, but he doesn't mention that in his book. Instead, he describes trying to arrange a date with her. Right. It seems that he's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy. So, speaking of religion, yesterday and hopes and dreams and realistic expectations. Very soon afterwards, via the comments, I realised that I hadn't given religion a thought. And since then, 24 hours ago, I've been thinking about it. Whatever quite that means, but I've been doing it. And I've tried to shoehorn religion in and haven't managed it. And I've really decided to keep it out. With the shoehorning in, the best we can say for religion really on that department is heaven in the hopes and dreams. Isn't it really? And that's really only thought about when you've got a good thought that you're going to die. Hopes and dreams isn't really religious. It's kind of a habit. It's like walking under ladders or not walking on the cracks in the pavement. It's just a superstition that you get born into and you do. I basically, the more I thought about it, the more I was thinking about the hopes and dreams and the realistic expectations and the spectrum and the, well, let's do it the right way around, the left to right. The more I realised that the hopes and dreams, realistic expectations is a useful spectrum or useful mental construct to have. As in, we start, we're never all hopes and dreams as a young person, and even as an old person, we're not all realistic expectations. There's lots of hopes and dreams left for old people, but we'd like to think there are more realistic expectations than when we were younger. And okay, I'll try and finish individual people off first. Hopes and dreams when you're young are good and fine, and I hope we all approve of them. There comes a time, I'll go that more into the societal thing, where they become less useful, but for the individual person they become more dangerous. As in, the longer you hold on to hopes and dreams, the worse things can happen in your individual life when your hopes and dreams become shattered. You have to temper them, or you will get hurt. And there's much more to be said on an individual level, but I think today I'd like to expand a bit more on a societal level for the hopes and dreams and the realistic expectations. Hopes and dreams are here, realistic expectations are here. And I can't, it's wiped my other tabs off. So I was going to do a Brexit one and a Soap the Rich one. I'll do the rich one because I was going to quote from, because that's more universal. The comments, well, the article and then the comments were basically all on this line of the things I've touched on before. All the nice things that we can do if we only had more money. Where's the money going to come from? The rich have got money, we'll use theirs. Okay, and this is what this was all about. Now, the way I looked at it, using this idea of hopes and dreams and reasonable expectations, is just say 100, 200 years, it doesn't matter. All across the world, every government of every stripe, type and everything, all different types of governments all around the world, all the countries, have always wanted to do nice things, and they've always had rich people there, and the rich people have always had the money, and it's never, ever, ever been difficult to go 2 and 2. I want to do nice things, need the money, rich people have got the money, take it from the rich people. But it doesn't happen. Okay, so I put that down as a hopes and dreams. This all the articles and comments, it's hopes and dreams, because it doesn't happen. Now, on this, I now go to why doesn't it happen? And what did I think of? Going to the moon, because that was a comment, I think, on yesterday's video. And I thought of the atom bomb as well. For the Second World War, America and all that sort of thing. The politicians might have had the hopes and dreams of an atom bomb and, what was the other one? Going to the moon. So they get a few scientists in who will have realistic expectations and probably give them some pretty negative vibes. But when pushed, they'll say, yeah, all right, we'll go away and have a look. And when they come back, they've spoken to other people and say, yes, it's worth a stab. We've got realistic expectations that we could do it. Okay? And that's an idea. So you've got a hopes and dream from a politician, let's say. It goes to experts who say, yeah, all right, it's going to be tough, but I reckon we can do it. What else did I think of? I thought, yeah, black power. No, what was it called? The decent word for it. Not emancipation, equalization. Where in America, even right up to the 60s, black people were not treated like white people. So the black people were angry, they had their hopes and dreams, and they kicked up fuss and eventually got their equality. But the thing there is, it was kind of pushing at an open door. Yes, they had to push hard. There were quite a few people on the other side of the open door, but they had to push hard. But a lot of black people and white people would come in on the side of the hopes and dreams because it could be seen by most anybody that it was pushing it at an open door. It was a reasonable expectation for them to have their equality. And it would be an easy thing for the law to make it so. It's almost harder to have the law to make it unequal. So it was a realistic expectation. So the hopes and dreams linked with realistic expectations, and it goes through. And it's probably the same for, well, okay, a modern thing would be the gay marriage thing. It's slightly different because there are all sorts of complications in that. Marijuana. Lots of old hippies sick of 3-strike law going to prison forever just for getting caught with some dope. Hopes and dreams that this will all go away. It won't go away. Politicians will never give in. I mean, they've been fighting it forever. Until somebody comes up with the idea, do a PowerPoint presentation to the politicians to say how much taxes are going to come in, and then you've got hopes and dreams linked with realistic expectations that the politicians will go along with getting lots of taxes in. Badush, and it goes through. So where were we? Right back to the beginning. 200 years of politicians knowing that the rich people have got the money that they want to spend on doing nice things for people. Hopes and dreams. Stuck because there's no realistic expectation. Nobody in this article and the comments, they don't come up with the how it's going to be done, all the how it could have been done in the last 200 years and it hasn't been done, and how it's going to be done, how reasonably it's going to be done. It's all very well shouting and saying, do it, it's right, it's only this, that and the other to take the money for the rich to make nice things for everybody. But all it's doing is it's just having a hope and dream. It's got no realistic expectations because it's got no brain power behind it. Nobody on this side has come and told to open the door, found the key to open the door. Lots of shouting, lots of blowing trying to blow the door down, but no thinking to find out how it could be done. Nobody's come up with it so far, so it's got an awful lot of thinking needs doing. As an example of things, so you can see things in life that are on the spectrum of, well, that person's saying this is now, you can think, is this a hope and dream, or is it a realistic expectation? And you can plot it on that line and see how liable it is to come to fruition. Because if it's hopes and dreams without any realistic expectation, the chance of it coming to fruition are very small. Anyway, that's enough of that. Yep, bye.